Okay, hi, everyone. As you can see, this is very impromptu, and we just start by getting together, having fun. This is the Primo Real Estate Channel. I am your host, one of two, Jerry Pujals, partner with Susan Pujals and Homestead Real Estate here in the beautiful Napa Valley. And I'm going to pass it over to my co-host, the beautiful one and only Carlos Salazar.
Wow, thank you. I'm Carlos Salazar, a broker owner of Result Realty Group in beautiful, often humid Miami, Florida. And this is Primo Real Estate Channel Unleashed.
Yes, I love the unleashed part.
You like that?
I love that. I love that. You have the voice for it, man. I'm just kind of a little squirrel here on the side of this thing because you're the one that can drive this ship to the stratosphere, man. I am hanging on to your coattail on this one. Just know that I'm in this thing for the ride. And Hilda will tell you, I don't tag along with many people. So I love doing this with you, man.
It's all right, buddy. We give a new meaning to the blind leading the blind. Don't worry about it. That's all good.
It's beautiful.
Some weeks you lead me, some weeks I lead you. We may not end up going anywhere, but the journey will be very fun.
Well, and I just want to introduce those who are with us today, and hopefully my goal is that they become regulars by their own accord if they like doing this with us, and hopefully they share some of these nuggets of experience and wisdom as they say things that are nuggets of wisdom, because the people that we have on with us today are very experienced in their fields. One of them just happens to be my significant other, certainly my better half, Susan Pujals.
I thought you were going to say Hilda.
Susan was probably nervous.
Your other wife.
What is this jerk going to say now? No, you get all that credit.
Oh, that's so funny.
And then my other wife,
Yes.
Hensley,
Yeah.
was actually, Carlos, we're going to miss you so much tonight because Hilda's coming over for dinner tonight, last I heard.
Yeah.
And she's bringing her family with her. And I think we have a pretty good Hensley. I don't know if the boys are coming, but I think we have the girls and their significant others coming. So it's going to be a Hensley filled home at the Pujals venue tonight. And I'll be doing all the cooking. They're coming here to eat healthy.
Nice.
And I can't believe Hilda signed up for that. I certainly am concerned about Dwight and what he is going to eat. But I do know that one daughter, 100%, one daughter will appreciate it.
What's on the menu?
So I have to say, hi, I'm Hilda Hensley, and I'm really excited and grateful to be here. My husband did hear that Susan would throw something on the barbecue if we brought it.
Yes.
So he defrosted from Noche Buena. I had purchased a very large pierna de puerco, so pork, leg of pork. And my son Patrick, who's a hunter and has very sharp knives, cleaned it up. I didn't even know anything about this. I just usually throw the whole thing in the oven and cook it. Well, he parsed it out into different pieces, and this, he said, was the best piece of the meat. And so it was previously frozen. So Dwight defrosted it, hoping that Susan would throw it on the barbecue.
I will. I might need some coaching on how to barbecue that. I've not barbecued something like that. Chicken, steak, I'm pretty good with, but yeah, I'll ask for help.
What cadaver was that again? What type of animal?
Oh.
What carcass is it?
No fun.
What carcass are you bringing over into my house?
He's like an ex-smoker now that he eats so good, right?
Yeah.
We elevate ourselves. We're just better than everybody else. The minute you elevate yourself, I'll tell you, I'm going to go to a silent retreat in Marin pretty soon. Once I go to that silent retreat, I will be levitating for you guys. I will be literally a foot off the ground. And I'm just kidding. I did go to a silent retreat one time. I couldn't stay quiet more than an hour. It was painful.
Yeah,
I'm dying to do that. I'm dying to go to one of those monasteries and just not hear a word and not say a word. And just like for a weekend or a week, I want to see how long I'd last and just like see what happens.
You know
Seriously.
you know who goes to the one out here where Susan's been to it. God, Jesus, what's his name? I can call him Ace Ventura. Jim Carrey. What's his name? Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey.
Oh,
Oh,
Jim Carrey loves it's called Spirit Rock in Marin. It's very special place where trust fund babies throw millions of dollars at this place, and the lights are kept by wealthy Marinians who just get to live a spiritual existence out of parent created trust funds. But anyways, with all that being said, it is a special place.
Wow.
I thought you were going to say, Jerry, what is it? Harbin, what's the springs?
Talking about Silomar or anything like that?
No, the Harbin Springs. I think it stopped existing after the fires, but it was the Naked Retreat.
oh.
I'm surprised you don't know that one, Jerry, by heart.
Exactly.
I do not partake. I don't have the equipment for that activity.
Oh, well, you lost like 80 pounds. You're looking good.
Yeah, that
Also,
weight has got to go somewhere.
the equipment's out.
It's visible now.
It's visible now. Not on a cold day, I assure you. And it's been cold around here.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So now, one thing that Hilda didn't say is that she is the primary and head of Benchmark Mortgage out in Napa Valley. She's been doing loans for our clients for in excess of 15 years, and we haven't had a single complaint or nothing but glowing reviews with the experience clients get from Hilda. So that's quite a record considering the volume of business that we've referred to her over the years. So we're grateful for that. I have no agenda today, you guys, but just to say that I spent the morning with Susan with a client that's been a client of mine for many years, even before she started in the business. This client was actually a successful real estate broker in Napa Valley herself, and it's been an investor and a person who helps people with the financing out of her wallet. You know, she does private loans for investors, and now we get we're so fortunate that we get to represent her in her real estate venues. Although she's deep into her 80s now, but a very, very savvy real estate investor and still very much partakes in the business. But we're helping her sell a property right now, and a property that's not far from where we live, Carlos. Right under $1.4 million. Property had about close to 30 showings, Susan, in a little bit under a week.
Yeah, a little bit under a week. Yeah, and that didn't include the brokers. Those were just
buyers.
Yep.
And their agents coming out. The house was dated and it needed a refresh. And in Napa, that totals to a lot of money. You know, it could be a $500,000 to $1 million remodel, especially in the location. But I was so in awe as to how Susan handles that with such grace and dealing with somebody who's also dealing with the things that life is going to throw at all of us, which is dealing with an ailing significant other, and the stress of that, along with making a big move in your 80s and navigating through in a short period of time. A cash offer came in. The offer's not everything she expected it to be, but it came in with zero contingencies due to the fact that Susan did such a beautiful job in explaining to the agents that in some cases, terms are as important or even more important than money. And Susan got the offer to come in with zero contingencies, Carlos, not an inspection contingency. You know, it's all cash, not a loan, not appraisal, not anything. And Susan did a great job explaining why there's such value in an offer like this, because another offer that can come in, and still there's 3 showings happening as we speak. So it's still getting showings. An offer that came in $100,000 or $200,000 more that comes in with an inspection contingency, you know what that leads to, right, Carlos, is Pandora's box. Somebody decides they want to open up a wall. It becomes kind of an issue. And all of a sudden, $200,000 more seems like nothing because you might have some bigger issues. But the guy writing the cash offer is a contractor. He knows what he's getting into. He feels comfortable writing it. And as a matter of fact, they're being represented by the buyer's represented by our company as well. Susan will not double a transaction. She will not work both sides. And as we've discussed before in our last meeting, when we had Hilda for just a few minutes, it was, we don't get to, we get to do dual agency here. It's not like it is in Florida where you guys have to withdraw and you taught me that you become transactional agents opposed to, an agent that has a fiduciary. So Susan, a buyer calls in from the sign, wants to write X, and Susan immediately transfers it over to a very seasoned and skilled agent in our company. And that agent is being represented by, that client is being represented by one of our agents. And that's how we navigated that. I personally would not have done it that way, Carlos. I would have navigated the complexities of that stressful situation because I'm probably more of a risk taker than Susan. I've come to humbly appreciate Susan's style and see the value in it. And I was just blown away by how you did that, Susan. So
Awesome.
Appreciate that.
Well, congratulations, Susan.
Well, it's not put together. It's not put together. We had a small counter offer.
Counter, let's see.
Counter, but we're $50,000 apart on a 1.4, so not bad, right?
So I have a two-part inquiry on this topic. First, what does 1.4 million look like residentially speaking in Napa? And I'll tell you what it looks like here right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is not only Napa Valley Country Club, Napa Valley. This is in the Silverado Country Club with potential membership. I don't know if that buyer was interested in the membership. Susan, you can definitely speak to that.
I don't think he really cared. Yeah. What does it look like? Depending on what area it is here in Napa, a 1.4 area here in Silverado means that the house needs a lot of work. Probably needs $500,000 to maybe $1 million, depending on what the client wants the house to look like. That's what that looks like here in Silverado. A 1.4 million maybe in North Napa would be it would be like a fairly nice house. We have something like that coming up in North Napa at that price. It means that like a remodeled kitchen, 2,500 square feet, a really small backyard, obviously, because, land here is valuable, with okay construction, that kind of thing. So what does it look like there?
Ugly. It's crazy because back in the day you say a property here is worth, let's say, $1 million, $1.5 million. You're like, all right, wow. It's a challenge, right? You pull up to some neighborhoods and it's listed for 1.4. We're looking at property now actually with some buyers that are also selling with us, which Hilda's working with them on the buying side. And man, we saw a property and 1.4 had a nice lot, had a 19,000 square foot lot, which is a little under half an acre. Half an acre is 43,560, so a little bit under half an acre. But it was like a flip, and you know how flips are sometimes. It's just like they put lipstick on a pig.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just walking through there and they liked it, but I was walking through there and I'm looking at doorways and I'm like, very narrow doorways in the closet. I'm like, this is not even to code. It's just crazy, right? Because at that price point, you would think it's like everything is to the nines, especially if you redid a property.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not much. And then that's in an okay neighborhood. And if you go now towards the more want neighborhoods down here, where it's like not what can I afford? It's like you want and you will pay to live in that specific neighborhood. Like Silverado, I'm sure categorizes it as one of those want neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
You'll probably get for $1.5 million. You can probably get a home, I don't know, 1,800 square feet, maybe 2,000, maybe 3 bedrooms if you're lucky, and small lot, like the Coral Gable home at that price point. It's nothing to write home about, right? But it's just you're paying for the zip code, you're paying for the continuity in the neighborhood, you're paying that Your neighbor's not going to be changing his oil in the middle of the night. There's not going to be, you're paying for a lot of different things that are not really, within the context of the actual physical property. So it's funny, right? 'Cause it's not really a lot of money, at least not down here, to find a place, and it's really, really, really crazy. And then you have sellers that are looking at the inventory shortage, and agents that are consulting them, and they're like, hey, inventory short. So if their house is really worth 900 grand, they're asking 1.6 as an example, because, oh, don't worry, they'll pay, so there's a lot of things that happen down here that are a little bit crazy. So I like the way I like the way you guys do business up there. Everybody's respectful. There's no hinky business going on. And it's funny when you say contingencies, I felt like you were reading my mind. Hilda, I don't know if we updated you, but with these same buyers on their listing, we went to contract last week, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So guess what? We're not under contract anymore.
Oh, no.
So they first came in, all cash deal, no financing contingency. And then even before we went to contract, and back to the conversation of other agents down here in Miami, they had a very low down payment. We negotiated this, that, and the other. Go, listen, we'll go to contract with you under these three caveats. Number one, we're not lowering the price anymore. We did a significant departure, right? So we're not lowering anymore, regardless of your inspection period, because we want inspection period. So we tightened up the timelines on the inspection period, real short timeline. And something else, title, escrow, whatever the nuances there were. So the second we go to contract, they come with the first change. Oh yeah, they want to use another title company. And you got to try to make the deal work, right? Do you want to write? Do you want to be right, or do you want to close, right? So I'm like, okay, I don't want to push back. Okay, we'll cooperate in that front, no problem. So they do their inspection, and then they come back. And not to bore you, to take up a lot of episode time here, but I'll fast forward to the end. What they were doing is that they were simultaneously negotiating another property while they were under contract with ours.
Oh my
And they
goodness.
used our contract and the escrow letter from our thing to show the other seller, to motivate them to give them a good deal over ours. And we found out by accident, because they come back. He goes back, hey, listen, they want to, and this is the first red flag. The first day we were in the contract, yeah, we're gonna do the inspection today, and the brother of the seller, of the buyer, wants to get in there today. And we're like, hey, listen, it doesn't work that way. We need a little bit of notice. We're here to cooperate, but blah blah. If you don't do this, we're gonna cancel.
Oh, wow.
And then
That's
I'm thinking,
first.
my first instinct was like, buddy, send over the cancellation. Goodbye. That's my
Yeah.
first instinct, right? Because
Yeah, you don't
whatever.
want. Yeah.
But absolutely, let's see what we can do. We move mountains. Our as you know, Hilda, our sellers have a baby, and she works from home. She's an attorney, that kind of thing. So we turned her life upside down. We got the inspection done, and when you're in one of those high-end condos, it's not just doing an inspection. You have to contact the association. You got to make sure that the roof is open so they can go check the condensing unit on the roof. The handler. I mean, there's a lot of things that have to happen. So Marta, my wife, just made mountains move. Right, she made it all happen. Perfect. So they do that. They come back with the inspection, and then they're like, "All right, listen, they want $1,200. If not, they're going to cancel." And I'm like, "Listen,
Things like that.
that's it. You can go." Anyway, so that's where left off. And then my Marta find out by accident that they were negotiating. They went into contract with their property, and that's where they canceled ours. So in the past, what I've done is I've taken my experience in the commercial world to the residential world, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going to have to do now, unfortunately, with what's happening down here. Where normally you guys probably don't have to do that, because you guys probably, on a handshake and on a word, that's pretty much the way you guys do business there before you go to contract, which is what it seems like, right? But here I used to do it before, and I strayed away from it, because it's like a very non-trusting approach. But I'm doing an LOI from now on. So we're doing a letter of intent. We're not going to go to contract. We're going to establish a framework of what the deal looks like, and then basically all the letter of intent is that both parties agree to negotiate up until it expires, and then it's over. So that's what we have to deal with down here. And it's nuts. It's really, really nuts. So that when Susan says that, when you said that about Susan's deal, yeah, there came in no contingencies. I'm like, oh my God, here you can't even believe anyone, what they do. It's just nuts. It's just nuts.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they even sent the CR, which means that it's even more ironclad once they send the full contingency removal along with the contract.
Well, they were good, because they did a good. I mean, they were good at getting away with it, because they came in initially with real low down payment, and I'm like, no. I made them give 100 grand just off the top. Give 50 now, give 50 in a few days, and they wired it right away.
Wow.
So then I'm like, okay, serious buyer. They wired it right away, and they allowed us to hold escrow. Not us, the brokerage. They had Yvette hold escrow, so they wired it right away. So I'm like, okay, there are timelines
Good to go.
and that's just the crap that happens down here. So it is what it is.
Wow.
And they had fallen in love, Hilda. They fell in love with that home that I just told you about. They fell in love with it. It's a massive property, and it's nice. There has some things has to be done, but they fell in love, and I'm like, oh, that's what I tell. I'm listening until the deposits are hard. You never know what's going to happen. So
That's right. That's right. Till it's closed.
Yeah, just
until 10 minutes after closing, anything.
There you
Wait
go.
10 minutes. No, not even closing. Wait 10 minutes after funding.
Yeah,
Then
I don't want you to feel that bad, Carlos. Like if it's not that, if it's that good here, we have. I mean, Hilda will tell you
I was gonna say,
yeah.
it's not that it doesn't happen here.
We stab each other in the back with manners. I'm just kidding. I mean, it's
But for the most part, what I have to say, and from my perspective, because I'm outside of the negotiations, Napa agents are a little bit different. They're a little bit more sophisticated and educated on protocol, but you have agents that are slimy. You have things that happen. You have people that have a reputation for being a little slimy.
Yeah.
So nobody gets away scot-free with that kind of stuff.
no.
But-
There are agents here that call you, and the minute they call you and they tell you they have an offer coming, there's nothing coming. I mean, I can tell you there's one agent in Santa Elena, which is super exclusive zip code. And for 20 years, she calls me at least once every other year with, I have an offer coming for you, and it never materializes. And she's got a reputation that if you end up in a transaction with her, you can't decipher reality from fiction. It's a challenge. So yeah, the difference is too that your market is so big that you don't get to know that, right? You're blindsided.
Oh, but we do. Guess what we've been doing for years, and this was Martiga's idea. Guess what we have to do because of the volume of this happening? Take a wild guess.
You gotta log everything.
Good job, Jerry. We literally have a spreadsheet. I
Yeah.
literally have a spreadsheet of, it's like a hit list of agents' names and brokerages' names and a quick little snippet of what happened.
Which is
And
smart.
we will not do business with them ever again. But there's such a low, we talked about this in the last podcast before right after you left, Hilda. There's such a low barrier to entry here in the real estate for real estate agents that, like right now, Jay, I'm sure at the top of your hand, you can tell the people that work in Napa agent wise, it's not like thousands of them, you know what I mean? But here there's so many and they just disappear and they surface. It's like roaches, and you have to keep track of them. I hate to use that analogy, that comparison, but it's just like roaches. You kill some and here they come out again, so. And then and the funny thing with this last transaction, I was dealing directly with the broker. So you would at least think, okay,
Yeah.
this is different. And so anyway, it's not a big deal. It's everything happens in God's time. Everything is meant to happen to a certain way. No big deal. It's par for the course down here. So I'm not like crying in the corner because I'm not even in shock about it. But so so we keep a freaking list. And I just added this guy, added his agent, added the broker, and we have a list that we reference. Before we do any transaction, we reference that list. Hey, let's check here, make sure that they're not on the list and move on. It is what it is,
Yeah. Well, and sometimes I don't know if you guys experience this as well, but sometimes the buyer, the client is really driving that ship or driving that car, and they want you to drive it off the cliff, and you have no control over that sometimes.
That's why it's okay. We talked about it. It's okay to say no to a client, right, Jerry? It's okay to not work with them. It's really okay.
Yeah, I call it alignment, and there has to be alignment. And when there's alignment, there's a flow as to how things progress. And if you don't honor who you are, then it's just challenging. And I bleed for a lot of agents that are good agents or great agents who, out of sheer desperateness, they will work with anybody, and they navigate that, and some of these people navigate it really well, but I always say at what cost, because there's always a cost. And if you really are sleeping well at night, then you can handle that. But if you're not sleeping well at night, then you're paying a price. Hilda and I know agents that that can work with the most challenging clients. And I don't think it, honestly, I don't think it affects them. I just have to believe that it really doesn't affect them. They just, it's their mission, it's their challenge. They love working around complex personalities and this and that. I tell you that that's not me. I look more for alignment because I still want to try to go home and be in a good mood to hang out with Susan or hang out with my grandkids. If you have somebody out there that is affecting you so deeply, then you have to try to honor yourself, but even not just selfishly, for the client as well. You know, if you're feeling it, they're feeling it too.
Mhm.
You don't have to force it. I don't think you force business, Hilda. I think you pretty much kind of know, you know.
Yeah, it's funny because I think I mentioned that I had gone to a conference last month and spent 4 days really deep in business managing and setting goals and what kind of parameters I want to set around my business. And the one thing, because there's one agent in town that does a good amount of business. And if I say too much, Jerry and Susan will know who she is.
Yeah.
But she,
Oh, you already gave us 50% by just
Yeah,
saying.
exactly. I thought it was a he. No,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kidding.
but we've never done a transaction with her that there hasn't been a last minute surprise. And so we have protocol around her clients. We always ask, is there any addendums? Has there been any changes? And inevitably there always is. And sometimes she doesn't even tell us when there have been. There's addendums that are floating out there that we might have, the title company doesn't have, or vice versa, things that are impactful to the transaction. And so I really debated long and hard whether I wanted to continue a relationship with her. And then I looked at my numbers for last year and I thought, yeah, I'm going to continue that relationship.
That's way to be honest.
Hey, hold on a second. No, we don't align. And then
Yeah.
listen, we're aligning. We're alignment. We're alignment.
Oh my goodness.
I
She was
used to
on the
say that.
spreadsheet and you took her off the spreadsheet.
I used to say that at my real estate seminars, you know, when people would say, "Oh, I'm just really depressed," and I used to ask the audience, I said, "Is it anything that 10 transactions in escrow can cure?" And everybody, the answer was always, "Oh yeah, that would just cure the depression right away."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Because this has been such a weird time for lenders in particular, where, we spent 2.5 years like, oh my gosh, I cannot do one more loan. I can't take one more client right now.
Yeah.
And then to be on the complete opposite end of that, where everybody is scrambling for every transaction and and realizing that this is cyclical. We will come out of this time and place, inventory will increase and rates will adjust. But what a difference of, mental state. And what we've found is that industry-wide, there's been so many lenders that have pulled out and are not any longer in the business. And I think that might happen with real estate agents also, don't you all?
I think
that's
it's already
100% going to
happening.
happen. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Once the dues are renewals come up and
What is
Yeah.
it over there? What are the renewal dues for realtors over there?
Well, Susan and I know exactly what it is because
Okay.
I live in that place. And that fun place of spreadsheets, for Susan and I, for both of us, is $2,000 a year, includes, local and NAR.
Yeah, I think there's like, what is it, like 1,500-1,600 bucks, something like that, whatever it is. But yeah, that's exactly what's happening. And I read an article, was it last week or this week, recently, that's exactly what's going to happen. All the part-time weekend warriors, or all the ones that just got into the business, that they really don't have the secret formula that most of us have, which is perseverance, right? Even through rough times, they're going to be like, and down here, I don't know if the same, we talked about this before, down
I
here.
love how you call that. I love how you call that the secret formula.
Yeah. the secret formula of perseverance in anything you do, right?
Secret formula of getting out of bed and working your ass off.
That's it. And it's crazy. So that's definitely going to happen. I mean, and it's inevitable, right? Because it's a tight market. Clients are tight, buyers are tight, seller. So so only a pool of real estate professionals right now, including all of us, are trying to get a grip of whatever little piece of the market we can grab. And those that are not educated, those that cannot consult, those that cannot bring an amazing add value to the table compared to everyone else, then money becomes the commodity that you're negotiating versus the add value, right?
Can I tell you one thing that I noticed, and I don't know if Susan would agree with this, but I think this particular listing that Susan has in the country club is showing me that, like in any other market, when the market turns, I find people with the cash are the ones coming out the most. The people that, and it was the same thing in 2008, 2010, 2012. It was he or she who had the cash got to play in a very profitable, playpen. So now I'm sensing that this is kind of a little bit of that the homes are not dropping, and what's different is homes are not dropping in value because the inventory is so tight. So we all get that, but now the investor who's doing okay, by the way, Susan and I are getting 5% on not a CD, we're getting 5% from our bank on a money market, fully liquid. We can pull in and out, it doesn't even matter. And to get 5%, it's pretty remarkable with zero risk, federally insured. I just find it interesting that it makes me think of, what's our next move, because I think there's more opportunity that's going to come out, especially because of the tight inventory. Even Susan and I, it crossed our mind to buy this property that we have listed, because we're a little bit more at this stage in the game. We're a little bit more risk conscious, but I'll tell you, they're all coming out there. Even one very successful flipper in the area, who Hilda knows who she is. She's done a lot of flips, and I think she also stages a little bit and does things like that. But she was looking at this property as a project, or maybe to possibly live in it, move into it. There's just something shifting where people are still looking at real estate as one of their buckets. They're diversifying. They're just not putting it all in stocks and not putting it all in the market. And I have to say I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, I agree. I've had two of my clients lately call me to say, I want to diversify, so I look for this or that. One of them wants multi-units and the other one wants just a good area. And they're both completely different age groups, but they're wanting to diversify. Yeah.
Yeah. One of them, if I'm thinking of the same people you're talking about, one of them literally taking a year off from startups and things that he's involved with to take care of himself. This is a young guy, taking a year off, but definitely open to investing in real estate aggressively, and also open to loaning money out, for people looking for projects and who have the right credentials and enough skin in the game. So there are a lot of things going on in our business that are certainly keeping us busy over here. It's not cookie cutter like it was a couple of years ago.
Well, it's funny. Back in the day, we always talk about this. Back in the day, the cash buyer was a unicorn,
Yeah.
So like back in the day, like, what? There's a cash buyer?
Yeah.
What? Whoa! And the angels are singing, the trumpets are blowing, the sky's partying.
Yeah.
And then now, but that's been the trajectory over the last 20, I would say over the last 20 years, you start seeing a lot of individuals that have been retired, they're saving all their life, they have a 401k, they don't trust Wall Street, they're not trusting Wall Street, and they'll get a better return of something they can understand, or at least work with someone that helps them understand it. And real estate, once you do it, even if they go to work with one of us, and once an investor, even they continue working with us, they'll start understanding how that works. And it's not hard to understand appreciation. It's not hard to understand ROI. It's not a difficult thing to understand once you're someone's guiding you and you're doing it right. Versus a stock index, a cap. I mean, they don't know, right? And they have and they're scared. So a lot of money. So now cash buyers is like, at least down here it is. And we're not talking about the investor. I'm talking about regular Jane and John that are buying cash.
Yeah.
We had a listing here. Wasn't something great. It was a nice house, like a 4 or 5 bedroom house, nice pool on the lake, blah blah blah. And it was a cash buyer, husband and wife, nothing crazy, not gazillionaires. Just they worked all their life, they had a small business, and they came to buy cash. And that's
Carlos,
just commonplace.
I have never, hold on.
Hang on, Jerry's raising his electronic hand to speak. Go ahead, Jerry. We recognize you.
The finger. Carlos, you really brought that to light for me, because Jesus, yeah, he's right, huh, Hilda? Hilda and I have been at this for over 20 years. I'm over 25 years. Geez, I think it was years before I ever represented a cash buyer, like years, like a lot of years. And then, I don't know if it became in vogue. You're right, like 10 or 12 years ago.
2008.
Well, definitely 2008, people started buying cash.
A lot of
But then it kind of normalized after that whole thing it became such a normal thing for, parents helping kids. You would see that all the time where, especially in competitive markets, it was like the only way somebody can win is if they found a way to come in with cash. And I think that's what drove the cash is, well, number one, people couldn't get anything on their cash anywhere. Remember when people would get 0.0001% at the bank?
Yeah.
So it was easy for people to pull money out and help their kids. And oh my God, it was just, yeah, you're right. The whole cash thing just became something 10, 12 years ago where it was normal.
Yeah, most of our listings, I mean, the majority of our listings, we put it for cash buyers only. And then at least in our contingency, in our cash only contingency in the contract down here, it's like you're able to finance, absolutely. Have at it. But if something happens, it reverts to the cash transaction.
Yeah.
So there's no contingency, because then, then we have because of inventory is tight, so you have a lot of sellers that are buying also. And imagine, you have to explain to them, listen, a loan can die at the last minute, but how can it be? I go, even after the loan commitment, but they can't do that. No, they can't do that. But it's just as simple as the buyer opening up a credit card, a line of credit, or getting any kind of loan on purpose, or saying, hey, I lost my savings, I had a family emergency, and the loan is over, and they're covered under the financing contingency. So Hilda can speak to that, right, Hilda? I mean, anything can happen, right?
Well, James, that's the recent experience where, we made it for one of my sons, we made with some help from our friends, we made a cash offer with a loan contingency, and we closed the loan. But all that has to happen, Carlos, and I've had it happen in the last 10 years, probably 10 times. So let's say once a year, you have a buyer that you verify their income. And when you re-verify their income at the end, because it always happens again at the end, and we always tell the buyer it's going to happen again, they have quit their job or gotten fired.
Bought a car.
We don't want to talk about that now. Lots of cars being purchased. Or somebody knows they're buying a house and they go to Home Depot and they get one of those credit cards where it's 0% interest, and they could get their whole kitchen, with 0% interest. And now they don't qualify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I love. That's what I love. Those that are selling and buying simultaneously. I love them because it's very plain talk, right? So, hey, listen, if you do something after you close, you'll be homeless because your purchase loan is not. It doesn't matter if you're going to get a ton of money back.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because people think, oh, I have a ton of money in the bank, I can buy any house. No, if you can't buy it cash and you need the bank, you still have to show income. You still have to show, right? Am I right, Hilda? It's like people have this misnomer that, oh, I have a ton of money, I make a lot of money. And down here, a lot of businesses, people that are in business, at least down here, they'll show losses, and that's commonplace, right? Their business, they show losses and whatever. So they may have a lot of money, but if you show losses in your businesses, that's your only source of income, you're not getting a loan.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Unless the bank is taking the majority of the equity in that loan, that's a whole different story, right?
Yep.
But
yep.
Other than that, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I feel a little bit of this happening. So we had a meeting this week with a gal, really great gal, a new broker relationship that we have. And, we have now access to super jumbos, loans up to 30 million. We have, interest only. We have all the cross collateralization, all these product availabilities. And I'm like, oh, this is great. This is great. And then I get an email this morning and there's these loans now that, I'm thinking back to the old stated income or no income, no asset loans that caused us to crash. And then, all those loans went away. And now we have all these portfolio loan products. We have the debt service loans where if an investment property has enough rental income to offset the payment, that they'll do it. So you can get 100%, of the rental income. And if it covers the payment, they'll do the loan. Then they went down to 75% of the rental income towards the payment. Today, I got an email, 0% debt service. So you don't even have to have any debt service, any income on that rental. And yes, there's a hit to the interest rate, but okay, it's 11 or 12%. And you don't show any other income documents. If you have a 65 loan to value, they'll give you a loan.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
But, there's things out there, you just have to pay for them and pay through the nose for them.
Like everything in life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Susan, what's your magic formula, Susan?
Are
Can't
you
hear you.
muted?
Muted.
You're muted,
muted.
babe.
Let me plug myself in real quick. I did a rookie move. 1 second. I'm gonna die.
Oh,
What is she doing? I don't even know what she's doing.
It's okay. This show's always full of surprises.
You
This
just
show's
never
full of
know.
surprises.
I wonder what that fuzzy thing is behind her chair. Did she buy something new?
it looks cozy.
Oh, the battery's
It's
gonna
a
die.
little pillow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to see what's behind my chair?
Well, so what do you have on your chair?
A booster seat?
Oh,
Kidding, Hilda.
what did you say? 11? 11?
11.
She is 5'1.5".
Yep.
She does not need a booster.
11.
11. So I bought enough wine from them that they sent me a
Oh, how cool.
Oh, that's funny.
very expensive scarf.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. 11.
So what were you saying? I'm sorry.
Susan,
Formula.
what's your magic formula? And I don't mean like a granular formula. We do this, that, and the other. I mean, like, what do you bring to the table? Because you and Jerry have a magic synergy over there, right? Since you were with Coldwell Banker before, and now you have your own enterprise going. So what do you bring to the table? Like, what's your add value? Would you say is your greatest value proposition that you bring to your regular client? Let's not even talk about investor. Just say the regular residential client down there. What do you guys bring to the table?
Gosh, that's a great question.
Can I answer real quick for her?
Say it again.
Can I answer real quick for you?
Well, we have a great lender, but
No.
besides that.
No, I wasn't doing that.
No, go ahead, Hilda. I love to hear from somebody outside our box.
What I see as Susan's special sauce is her ability to connect with her clients, listen to them, and really cares about what they want and what they want for their family and for themselves. And she just kind of magically makes that happen. And I don't mean like she creates something out of nowhere, but I think Susan gives her clients that sense of comfort and security because she knows what she's doing. She knows her product. She's clever in negotiating, and I think clients feel safe.
Oh, thanks, Hilda.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
really across as your special sauce.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the other agents really like working with Susan. I mean, it's anytime she comes to the table, or an agent comes her way looking for information, or there's always this desire of hopefully we get to work together because they know it's pretty seamless. There's not drama and stress and any of those other things that you find sometimes when people don't know what they're doing. No, I definitely take a back seat and just I bring in a little bit of something, but definitely I bring a little sprinkle. Susan's got the whole recipe. I mean, she's got the whole package, and it's stunning to watch. I used to say it, Carlos, when back in the day when she would do a lot of open houses and things like that, people would just literally walk in. You know how you go into an open house and the consumer really wants to be left alone? Susan would do that. So Susan doesn't bombard a consumer with, "Hey, look at me, I'm the better agent." But if they'd approach her, they'll ask her a couple of questions. She gives them a couple of answers, and in the process, a lot of times people would walk in and say, "Hey, listen, I'm working with Mary Smith, and Mary's a great agent, this and that." And Susan right away, "Hey, I know Mary. Mary's wonderful. I hope everything works out, and hopefully we get to sell you this property and have Mary call us." It was I can't tell you how many times people get 2 blocks down the street and call Susan and would say, "I just fired Mary. I want to work with you." And that would happen. Oh, he'll tell you that happened over and over. That wouldn't happen to me. I mean, it just it doesn't happen that way. I mean, and he'll tell you, I'm very proud of the fact that I'm a closer and that I build relationships and that I'm an extrovert that loves talking to people, and I put myself in uncomfortable situations because I'm a volumes guy. So I want to just help as many people as I possibly can in the shortest period of time. But my approach is still different than Susan. Susan's is that we'll make this about you, Susan. Susan has a real way. And Hilda and I saw it early on, right? We're like, holy moly, even before she had all the experience, she can talk to, we're going back almost 20 years ago. She could talk to somebody and say, I don't have an answer to that, but I'm going to get you the answer. Just leave me your information on my registry. And Susan would just follow up, and she'd deliver, and she'd deliver, and she'd deliver. And she's built a reputation on 5-star reviews that is second to none. I mean, I was reading, Susan, you had I'll tell you this, if Susan doesn't even know this, I just replied today to about 15 5-star reviews you had on Google that you hadn't responded to.
Oh, geez.
And you didn't even know they were there. So I did you the solid. While I was in another meeting, I responded to every one of your 5-star reviews. If I know you, I know you'll go through them and call these folks, because a lot of people are like, "Hey, I remember what you did for me. I remember how much you helped my family. And I remember that your husband and I lend us money to do. Nobody would ever do that." And I mean, it was so fascinating how these people were talking about you. And neither you or it was Google that alerted me on my phone and said, "There's 15 reviews," and they were all yours, by the way.
Oh,
So,
wow.
it's very sweet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is...
Well, and those are the things that improve algorithms, is responding to reviews. So
thank you for having my back, babe.
I better do something.
Well, I guess I better amp up the secret sauce when it comes to responding to the Google, right? Oh my goodness. Gosh, I was just going to say maybe 2 things that you asked me about, why am I different and what's the secret sauce? I always felt that I had a lot of resources to help people, whether it would save them money or save them time, or people would just show up. And then 2, I really feel that no matter where the transaction goes, if you're solution driven, like you don't get in arguments with people, but you're solution driven. If you're solution driven, you know what? You're going to close that escrow 99.9% of the time, and you're going to have happy clients, whether it's buyers or sellers. And then you also, build great relationship with other agents too, because that's really important too, that you build good relationships with everybody.
Yeah, I think Jerry and I have the same secret sauce,
You're
which is being able to pick the perfect woman that has the secret sauce.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, there's a lot. Hilda's gonna shake. She's shaking her head already because Hilda knows.
Oh,
Let me tell you, and it's funny, right? Because all those important people close to us always shape us, right? Obviously, our spouses are going to shape us one way or another. Especially, I think we've all been married here for a very long amount of time. We hit
this group has
yeah.
you guys, I got to tell you, this group has over 100 It's over 120 years of marriage. And
How
this-
many years are you guys, Hilda?
37.
30 will be 36 years married.
All right. And
In
we
April.
hit 30 of marriage this year, and I think we're like 40 something of being together, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
So yeah, and it's crazy, but I think that's exactly right. When you make people feel safe and you go above and beyond, and I think honestly, if us, Martika and I, Jerry, Susan, and Hilda would be like on a real estate team together, I don't think there would be any other realtors in the business. And because I'm not being facetious, I'm not being cocky or anything, I'm being honest, because when you do things that people don't expect above and beyond, it's like crazy. And tell me if I'm sure Susan's probably done this, but we had a client that she was going through some real tough times, and we listed her home, beautiful home, whatever. So she had to move, but she was very trepidatious, like, what's going to happen? Where am I going to live? What am I going to buy? What am I going to do? So luckily the proceeds would cover whatever she's going to purchase. So she'd be a cash transaction. But there was that little in between time that she had nowhere to go. She was, so some real bad things happened to her in her life, and that she's very trepidatious of I'm going to be homeless. What's going to happen? So Martika was able to negotiate. Listen to this. I mean, like, I would never allow any of our listings to happen to one of our listings, right? What Martika did. So she was able to negotiate pre-closing occupancy from the buyer without a dime, without anything, just allowed her to move right in. And there was no guarantee we're going to close, right? And at least down here, if that happens, you're going to end up having to evict the tenant, right? And you're not going to sell that property. So I'm like, she tells me, like, you did what? I'm like, are you sure you spoke to the? And that's with the association. We're not talking about with a seller and do it under the table and like, hey, let them move in until they close. No, she got the association approval to do that. When do you ever see that? I mean, I'm like, dude, so that's the secret sauce. When you go above and beyond and people don't forget that craziness. And Martika was in there knee deep, helping her with a garage sale, just like crazy thing, helping her clean out her house. I'm like, man, hats off to you. So
Yeah.
Carlos, you know what that I think that is that when you can make a human being and get a human being out, you can do so much more than we can. We just don't. Dude, how much can we really do? I mean,
Oh.
really. And then raise that human being.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
yeah,
Wow.
that's awesome. But yeah, it's a interesting group we have here. Very capable group, very impactful group.
Well, I'm
And
glad you
something-
said that, because I've been trying to get Hilda to get back into real estate. Hilda and I had for me, it was a glorious year because it was the year where, as a team, as a company, I've done more transactions as this boutique company that Susan and I own now. But as a team, like a team within a company, when Hilda and I were at Coldwell Banker, we broke record. I mean, we were over, I think, 120 transactions for a year. I mean, and it was a lot of fun for me because my ego was very fed. But you said something that I think, it gives me a little bit of pause. It's like, yeah, man, it sure would be cool if Hilda came back to selling real estate. It would be. I mean, Hilda has. It's like Susan. Those things. Transactions are butter. They're just butter. They're not. I've had many iterations of teams in this business, and there are people that need so much hand holding and motivation and inspiration just to get out of bed in the morning. And Susan or Hilda are those people. They're intrinsically motivated. They don't require any extrinsic. So that sounded pretty smart. Huh? Did you like the smart talk?
Very,
Gosh,
very,
that was
very
so
smart.
copious for my diminutive
I'm feeding myself with myself. I tell you which podcast I give a lot of credit to growing my repertoire. It would be that Rich Roll podcast. That
I
guy,
was going to say a podcast.
Rich Roll, man, he is an endurance athlete, and he interviews a lot of either endurance athletes or anybody who's just amazing. And he used to be a lawyer, and
He's super articulate.
his acumen for language is just beautiful. It's like,
Well,
oh.
isn't your word today crescendo?
No, that was my word already, crescendo. I was
That's what I
explaining.
meant.
Thank you, but I was explaining to my 80-something-year-old seller to really consider not missing an opportunity with this cash buyer and going back so hard with the counter offer, because right now we hit that crescendo of marketing where all eyes are on this property. And if you let this week go by, you can't recreate the first time a second time. You can't do it. There's only one first time. And people are chomping at the bit to see it, but once they see it, they're not writing on it. And that's saying a lot. And people that are very capable and contractors that are looking at it are walking away. And it's because everybody knows it's going to cost $500,000 to $1 million to make that house what it needs to be today. Because as Susan will tell you, you put $500,000 into a house, $500,000 goes quickly. People just don't understand how quick. And that property, you can easily put $1 million to make it. I mean, you have houses across the street that are $6-7 million houses. So you're in that arena.
Yeah.
But crescendo, Susan, crescendo. And then, but I also went on to tell her that it was like the best orgasm ever. And at 86, I got to tell you guys, listen to me. At 86, she laughed her ass off.
Oh, she did.
She so appreciated that, because she's like, oh my God, this is the guy that I hired. He does not fuck around. And I just
he doesn't hold back.
It was great.
Oh my God, that's awesome. That is
You got to be careful. Mind her heart. Don't get her blood pressure too high when you talk to her like that. Okay, just be
Oh,
careful.
I love her.
At least not until 50 minutes after closing. Then you're good. They say whatever you want.
That's just
We're on record. We're on record. Go for it.
Hang on. I see all the wires have hit the accounts. Okay, have at it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, Jerry, I mean, the other thing is there anything in that property that could create an appraisal issue?
Yeah, fortunately, it seems like cash buyers are the case here. But if you're getting a mortgage, if the next buyer has a mortgage, we have all kinds of issues and all kinds of things are going to be alerted. The roof is shot, and you can pretty much tell that it's at the end of its life. Right now, with the way appraisers are being, Susan, and insurance companies, the way that they are, anything is possible.
Yeah.
Things are changing right underneath our feet right now. And some of those things are, when people say we don't know what we don't know, we're in territory that when Kimberly Manager is confused as to whether she can get your insurance on a property, and you have to call her first before you get too gung-ho into selling anybody's property, this is something that's really moving underneath our feet as we speak.
And California and Florida are leading the charge on that insurance problem.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. No, it's interesting.
Yeah.
So I got to tell you guys, it is probably time for me to start cooking for my guests. So I'm going to start. I'll start early, man. I'll be very prepared for you. And that'll be, I'll plug the Body Mind Index podcast, because that'll be an episode of what I'm preparing tonight. Tonight, I'm going to grace Hilda with groats.
I thought they were alive. Just
Carlos, do you know what a groat is?
It'll make me make dinner reservations if we're going to your house, but no, I don't know what it is.
So groats are oats that are uncut. It's oats in its raw form.
Nice.
And they actually are loaded with protein. They have 7.5 grams of protein. It's like eating rice with protein, because they're almost like a rice. They're a grain. It's before you cut the oatmeal or mill the oatmeal. Has 7.5 grams per half a cup. So, I can eat a cup of rice, 2 cups of rice. So I can eat 20 grams of protein in one serving. And it is a complex carbohydrate, so it doesn't hit you like sugar would. But then I'm going to cook that in a pressure cooker in the Instant Pot, because it's been my new favorite kitchen gadget. And I cook that with pinto beans, and I put all kinds of vegetables in there and herbs and just a lot of flavor. And Susan just loves it. I put butternut squash in it. It becomes Susan's favorite thing, which is why I'm going to use that as the meal for the Hensley family. And I'll probably do some type of sorbet for dessert, something fun. And then Susan's going to throw some dead carcasses on the.
Oh, no. Did you notice how when you started talking about groats that Carlos' face
we lost
over?
them. We
But
lost
that,
them.
like, like lit up
made- that
when Hilda
made-
was talking about the meat.
Talking about growths, maybe look forward to the ballet. We're going to the ballet now. Maybe look forward to the ballet now. So,
What's
look what
the
you did.
ballet?
The ballet.
Ballet,
We're
you're
going
gonna
to the
go
ballet,
you're gonna go
to
to
the
ballet.
ballet.
That'd be a hard one for me to do, man. For me
Yeah.
to sit through ballet is
Yeah,
tough.
my probation officer just peeked in and says, "Hey, let's go." So
Ballet.
yeah,
Go have
yeah.
fun at the ballet.
At the Miami City Ballet, we'll see how that turns out.
Fun,
Fun.
fun.
Well, let's do this again soon. You want
All right,
to
guys.
close us out, Carlos, or you want me to do it? What do
Go
you?
ahead. I want you're on a roll today. I think you should do it.
Oh, thanks, man. So thank you so much for watching Primo Real Estate Channel
Unleashed.
with my co-host Carlos Salazar, my beautiful wife Susan Pujals, and my dearest best friend in the world, Hilda Hensley. And I hope you watch us again. And if you like some of what we discussed and some of this banter and kidding around and joking around, please give us a thumbs up. Give us a question or two. We'd be happy to answer your questions. And beyond that, subscribe so you can kind of stay attuned with what's happening. You can hit the little bell button and that'll tell you when another episode comes. We're doing these once a week, having a lot of fun. And if you have any specific real estate needs, please reach out to any of us. We'd love to have an opportunity to work with you.
Beautiful. I loved it.
Thank you so much, all of you. Let's do it again next week. Maybe same time, same place type of thing if it works for everybody. I'm going to try to see if these girls come more often, and then maybe what we do is we have a guest with 3 or 4 of us at a time, because then that way, as it happens, if one of us can't make it, then the other person picks it up. And I like the 4 boxes. I like the 4-box format. What do you think, Carlos? It's
an even number. I like it.
It's very even. And, if you had to just I know you got to go, and I know Marta is probably all over you right now, pulling at I know it's happening. But before she takes you away, if you're at Sesame Street and you're looking at these 4 boxes, what is the one thing that's different about one of the boxes in the person?
I haven't
One
watched
word
that.
glasses.
What is it, Hilda?
Background.
Well, okay, you got one, Hilda. But Hilda, your background and mine are plain. Both of these guys have different background. What's another thing that you guys can say might be different about the 4 individuals that are on this thing? Besides
No
the fact,
hair and bald.
okay, one guy is bald. Okay, you picked another one. Okay, can we find the other one, please?
Glasses.
No, God dang it! I was gonna say we only have 100% American girl on the call. Everybody else has Hispanic DNA.
Cuban. Ah, there you go.
That was the other one. But boy, there was a lot of other things.
There's a lot.
Oh.
I want to, if I don't go soon, the next thing we have to find is a divorce attorney. So love you guys.
Bye.
Have a beautiful weekend. Love you all.
Please, Martha.
Say hi, Martha.
Bye. Bye.